Hello, and thank you for joining us on Our Ventura TV in the time of the coronavirus. It is now July 2020, and my guest today is Sabrena Rodriguez. Hi, Sabrena. And she is here representing herself as the president of the Ventura Unified School District Board. And basically, as we chatted before the program, I don't have children right now. Some people's kids are out of the Ventura Unified School District system, but we are looking forward to a new school year starting regardless. So perhaps you could go into what are the complexities of actually bringing students back to school in what, August 2020, I think is what we're looking at, or?
Yeah, I think at last count have a month and 13 days before our kids are back in school. Yeah, during this pandemic, one of the things that we are looking at is the role that schools play for our community, right? They aren't just the place that kids come to learn. They're also an important childcare service that many families depend on. We know that we feed a number of our community's children and help them get through hunger and all the issues, and we provide access to a lot of services. So as we look at bringing kids back to school, we're not just looking at giving them the opportunity to learn, but what does it take to provide a safe environment where kids can be social and have all the benefits of that social interaction that are so important developmentally for kids, but keep them safe and equally importantly, keep our staff safe. Many of our teachers, our principals, our custodians are in those age groups that are vulnerable to becoming contaminated or getting sick. And so we have to think about both of those things, how to keep our kids safe and how to engage them and provide them with a meaningful education. But at the same time, we need to be thinking about the people who work for us and how to keep them safe. And then I would add to that things like transportation, kids riding the bus to school. We can't fit as many kids in the bus as we could before because of social distancing requirements. So a bus that would normally hold 50 kids can only safely transport 15. So we don't have extra buses. We have to figure out how to make what we have work to the greatest extent possible to serve the whole community. And that means lots and lots of changes.
Okay. What is the outlook for in-classroom instruction? I've heard different things, as many people have, some sort of a hybrid system. Can you clarify?
Yeah, so one of the things that was most challenging for us as a district going into this, when we had to shut down really urgently, is that we're not a district where every kid has a computer. Some districts, like if you look at Oxnard, they have 1-to-1 ratio computers for kids in school. Wow. We have never been that district, and many of our teachers aren't really that comfortable teaching online because they haven't had to. And so this has been a huge learning curve for us, but I'm happy to say that actually we're making a huge investment in technology over the summer. We're bringing in over 2,000 new laptops and Chromebooks, and we'll be bringing those out for students so that kids will have their own device that they can use both at home and at school. So with the hybrid system, kids will be at school. I think our current working model is 2 days a week. And then the other 3 days, they'll be working from home. And so they need a device that can go with them, both from school, home, and vice versa, and where they can work more seamlessly. And then the sort of staffing side of that is that we're having to really invest in training our teachers in how to use online tools to teach kids. Right, so I'm really proud of the work we're doing. Our teachers have stepped up in an amazing way. I mean, they're learning leaps and bounds, and it's kind of exciting to see what's possible now. But it's been a huge effort, and it has not come without lots and lots of hiccups and learning curves.
Yeah, ironic, an educational system, and now we're all learning the things. Great. You mentioned, feeding our youth, and I know you were in the trenches when all of a sudden everything was shut down, and then these kids were expecting, that was what was built into their daily structure, was getting some food assistance through school, I guess. how's that going to work? I can't recall. I think it was like youth would come and pick up food, whether the school was on site or not, or what do you have to say about that, just in case someone's
Yeah, so we know we're a district of 16,000 students, and we feed,
Wow.
currently during the closures, we've been feeding anywhere between 2,500 and 5,000 students a week.
Oh,
Um, and so, a significant portion of our community depends on us to feed their children. And that's something that we take really seriously. We don't want to leave those kids hungry. Normally during summers, we would provide food for those families. And so it was important for us to figure out a way to make that happen, even with all the new requirements. And so what we've been doing is packaging up weekly for students. So on Mondays, kids come with their families, or families can come without their children and pick up meals for the whole week for that student. And
okay.
so they pick up 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches for a child. Now, as we transition back to school, we'll be figuring out how to feed some kids on campus and have other kids eating remotely, which adds a whole new layer of complexity to the entire activity, right? Because we'll have some kids who are physically on campus and who will be eating on campus, and then we'll have other kids who are not, who also need to get those. And it's an amazing program. It's federally funded, so these are, our tax dollars at work. And I can't think of anything more valuable, honestly, than feeding hungry kids. So it's a great thing that we're able to do for the community, but it's not easy.
No. One thing that strikes me and just in my life and my, watching of things is, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but is there anything that what we're doing right now that you can see is actually going to proceed forward, possibly, whether it's the going to school a few days a week and having more in-house instruction? I don't know. What I'm seeing is that industries and organizations are discovering, for want of a better word, redundancies, and where we would not have wanted this to happen in any way, shape, or form. There's also been awareness of like, oh, maybe we could do things this way. Is there anything that strikes you on that?
Absolutely. I mean, our educational system hasn't dramatically changed in 40, 50 years, right? And what we're finding is that because of COVID and because of the closures, we are having to adapt to a whole new reality very quickly, which on the one hand is very challenging, but on the other hand presents incredible opportunities, right? To weave in more technology, to really up our game in the way that we engage students and the way that we engage parents, because now parents are educators for a lot of their kids, right? So we need to provide them the tools to be effective educators at home, which is a hard thing to do, but at the same time, that decentralization of education and empowering families to take a more active role, hopefully leads to better engagement later, right? Parents understanding that they have critical roles. They're the first educators their children have, and they're the ones that will be there for their entire lives, hopefully supporting that lifelong love of learning.
That is very insightful. And it gives me hope. Like anything, I think we need hope, and we need optimism, and we need forward thinking, because looking backwards isn't going to do us much good right now.
And we need art. That's the one thing that you forgot on your list.
Thank you.
Right, but I mean, I think that the biggest challenge is keeping creativity in this new model, right? We want kids to learn the basics. It's so important, reading, writing. You can't overestimate the value of those things. But what helps kids weather storms like this is creativity, and that is such an important thing to not lose sight of in all of this.
That has occurred to me. There's many of us that have educator experience in our backgrounds, and I know that, like, I had to gear up to teach a Zoom class, and I was like, whoa, and so yes, putting it out there that we artists too should be in the business of continuing education, as they say, right?
Yes.
And I always want educators to continue their education. So on that, I'm sure I will have you back when things get rolling, and we'll check out there. But I want to thank you again, Sabrena, so much. And I want to thank you for joining us on Our Ventura TV. This is MB Hanrahan, and I will see you soon.